What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. Don't adjust your screens. Yes, I'm wearing this hoodie again. It's actually not my sweatshirt. I borrowed it from my boy. He ain't getting this back. For this story time, I feel like we should just dive in because I have no words. Now, I will say a video like this may be suppressed given the topic and its nature, so please watch the full video, leave a like, and leave a comment so it gets promoted on the platform through the algorithm. I think people really need to hear what happened to this woman. There is a bit of an intro that she wants me to read first. This is what she said. Hi Cece, I was watching your most recent upload and it made me want to share this. Please let me stay anonymous because victim blaming and these incidents go hand in hand. It was my fault. I heard that so many times and eventually I started to believe it. I was depressed, suicidal, and I hated myself for a very long time. I just gotta say, isn't it crazy that we live in a world where you could be the victim of a crime and get blamed for it? Only certain crimes though. Like, why blame the victim and not the perpetrator, the criminal? Walking home alone late at night and you get assaulted? Girl, that's your fault. Why was you out that late? You get robbed? Why'd you leave your door unlocked? That was dumb. You get raped? Well, girl, why was you wearing that outfit? That was on you. And we need to change this. Sorry. Anyway, she continues. There was a part in your video where the girl was clubbing in Gangnam, then invited to VIP by 8 guys and didn't want to drink the drinks that she didn't see get made. And that triggered me. There was this one guy giving her shit about being paranoid, cautious, and protecting herself. I want to share what happens when you're not paranoid because it happened to me. Something bad happened to me. I pray the story helps other people and gives insight from the point of view of a victim. There's a victim view as well. Don't tell me what I shouldn't have done or what I should have done because I already know this now. This was a really traumatic experience. I just want this to help people. I also saw your video near the beginning of your channel years ago where you told a story about how you and your friend saw a drunk Korean girl passed out and a foreign creep had his hand up her skirt and your friend saved her. You called out this creep, tried to get the bouncer and the police involved, and the creep ran away. Sadly, no one was there for me when this happened. I remember that video. But honestly, I gotta give the credit to Carolina. Sorry, it's like snowing. If you want to watch it, like, I'll put it up here, but for a brief overview, because that was 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago now. Me, Carolina, and a few of our friends, we were out clubbing in Hongdae, and out of nowhere, she just started like barking at this dude, and we're like, what is wrong with you? And there's a girl who's like drunk and passed out on a bench, and she saw some creep who had his hand like up her skirt. He was a foreigner, and that's another reason why she was like, come on, like, we can't be doing this. I think he was like South Asian or something. As soon as we realized what was going on, we all went over there. It was like, oh my god, like checking on the girl. And because so many people were looking at him, all of a sudden he left. And we tried to get the bouncers and the bartenders, and they were just like, they didn't do shit. And ever since then, I felt more empowered to like intervene when I see stuff like this happen because we scared that guy. Like, he left. You know, usually you think when you intervene and stuff like this, you'll get hurt, but not necessarily. So yeah, it's kind of like a reflex now. If I see like a drunk girl and somebody's like looking at her or like trying to drag her somewhere, I'm like, leave my friend alone, even if I don't know her. Anyway, I hope after hearing this story, you guys will be inspired to also step up and intervene and help wherever you can, even if it's just to call the police or something, or to take a picture of the guy. Any potential evidence, anything you can do, anything is better than doing nothing. Like, we can't go out and just have fun without being hunted. Don't go out alone. Don't exist alone. Don't drink too much. Otherwise, you're asking for it. I'm sorry, I know I said I would jump right in, but this isn't a frustrating topic. So, for this story, she asked to be called Snow White because, well, she was basically poisoned. She was visiting Korea only for about 3 weeks. She had a friend living there who's a teacher, and she just could not wait to get out there and experience it for herself. See what's popping in Korea. And we'll call this friend Bambi. Just stay on the Disney trend. She had heard great things about Korea from Bambi. Bambi had been there for like a year now. She loves it. She doesn't want to leave. And she's like, well, I need to come visit you because I miss you, bitch. Now, because she was only going to be there for like 3 weeks, they had a very busy itinerary. The first thing she wanted to do was eat. She had heard great things about Korean food and Korean barbecue. That got her the most excited. But also, her friends showed her around to some of the like tourist sites, the landmarks, the Namsan Towers, Han River Park, Yeouido, Lotte World, Lotte Tower. She said she ate a lot of yummy food, she met a lot of really nice people, and she had a really good experience her first few weeks in Korea. Now, she did want to save the best bit of it for last. For her, the best bit was going out and experiencing the nightlife. She wanted to experience that towards the end of her trip. So with about 6 days left on her vacation, that's what they did. And her friends said, yo, I'm gonna take you out to Itaewon. And the reason she wanted to take her out to Itaewon is because there's more diversity there, not just racially, but like age-wise. Like, if you go to Hongdae, for example, it's mostly like college kids. But if you go to Itaewon, you got like older people, younger people. There's also more diversity in the music. There's like jazz bars, there's EDM, there's hip-hop and R&B, there's pop, K-pop, Latin clubs, things like that. She says she had a blast. Oh my god, it's snowing. Ooh, it's snowing. Ooh, it's snowing. the attention span of a squirrel. She said there was so much eye candy, so much to look at, so many nice people introducing them. Like, she had so much fun. She said it was definitely a good core memory. She met a lot of foreigners, and she had a really good experience where she was dancing and she didn't even notice that her phone came out of her pocket. And she had like one of those phone cases that has like card slots too, so she would have been broke and phoneless. And some guy picked it up, tapped her on the shoulder, and handed it back to her. She was amazed by that. So she got like the dancing experience out of her system. So she did Itaewon, check. Now she wanted to do some bar hopping. So there was a bar near Apgujeong that Bambi wanted to show Snow White. She's like, I've heard great things about this place. We can go there tomorrow night if you're down. So this next night, they're gonna do some bar hopping. So they get there and, you know, they're a little suspicious because there's like a lot of men, mostly men. She kind of figured, well, maybe because it's early, girls aren't ready yet. I don't know. They didn't have too many concerns about it because, again, they had such a relaxed, positive encounter so far, especially the night before where someone returned her phone and her cards to her. A very trusting, guard let down type of mindset right now. So it didn't take long before 3 guys approached them sitting at the bar. And she said they were definitely giving like Oppa vibes. They were in suits, but it looked like they had like a tough day at work. They had like the ties all loosed up, disheveled hair, glasses, and they were really nice and friendly, and they came over and started a conversation with them. And because they were handsome, she felt her guard kind of relax and suppress itself. And again, such a positive experience she's had these first 2 weeks in Korea. People around her have been very, very nice and honest and trusting. Like, they've been going out of their way to show her kindness. So the first 2 guys were really, really social, but the third guy kind of just sat back and like let his 2 friends talk. They didn't really talk a whole lot. They weren't really talking with each other. She said it seemed like they weren't that close with each other, but also the third guy was kind of just watching. And she said they're not worth giving names, so we're gonna do this Dr. Seuss style, call them thing 1, thing 2, thing 3. Next thing you know, it was divide and conquer. The girls get separated a little bit. But you know how girls will give each other like that look, like we're good, it's okay, because they were into it, you know. Cute guys come over and talk to them at the bar. So far, it's fine. It is worth noting that Bambi and Snow White had already like pre-gamed a bit. They finished a bottle of soju, they already had their own drinks, so they had a good decent buzz going. So when thing 1 offered Bambi a drink, she was like, oh no, you know, I'm good, but thank you though. Thing 2 offered Snow White a drink and she was like, yeah, I'll take another. Now suddenly this is when thing 3 gets all involved, like, oh hey, how are you? Like, now he wants to start talking. So suddenly with 2 guys talking to her at the bar, she doesn't really know when it happened, but she realized, shit, where's Bambi? Bambi and Snow White can't see each other. So Snow White is like looking around like, where'd she go? And thing 3 noticed this and he's like, oh, are you looking for your friend? She's over there on the dance floor. And he pointed. So she turns away and she's like, oh, okay, cool. So she looked where thing 3 was pointing and she saw thing 1 and Bambi having a good time. So she's like, oh, like, that's great. And she turns away and she gets her phone out so she can record this because of course Bambi's gonna want to see this the next day, like, oh, is that me last night having fun dancing with this cute guy? So she recorded it for her. And she said this is the only time that she remembers like turning her back from her drink. She doesn't remember drinking anything else that was offered to her from them. She doesn't remember drinking anything else that she didn't watch the bartender pour himself. She drank more of a drink and didn't think much of it. And it didn't take long before she felt really hot. She had a pounding headache. She had dizziness, lightheadedness, and disorientation. So with these symptoms suddenly setting in, she tries to make her way for Bambi. And thing 2 and 3 kind of pulled her away. It's like, no, it's fine, come this way. And because she's more open to suggestion and just like, yeah, that's fine, like, she's not in her right mind, she just went with them. Now, there was a lot of people in that bar who either saw shit and didn't say shit, or they somehow missed everything that just went down. Because, like, 2 guys walking out a bar with a girl who was light on her feet and dizzy, how is that not suspicious? And because these types of things cause memory loss, she doesn't remember a lot of what happened next at all. The only thing she remembers is waking up very late the next day. Now, when she woke up, she was wearing exactly what she wore the night before. She was in her hotel room. She had a very bad headache and her underwear were missing. She wasn't robbed. She had her passport, she had her phone, she had her cards, her bank cards, jewelry, like, precious things, her laptop. Nothing was taken except her underwear. Like, if she hadn't known any better, she was like, oh damn, I guess I drank a lot, got blacked out. I don't remember what the fuck happened, but maybe I had fun. I have a headache for it. So the first thing she did was looked at her phone and she saw that she had hella missed calls from Bambi, so she decided to call Bambi back. So she calls Bambi and Bambi answers on the very first ring. She's like, oh my god, Snow White, where are you? What happened? What's going on? So Snow White said, oh yeah, I'm in my hotel room. I must have got really drunk because I do not remember what happened. And she's like, Bambi, I'm hoping you can fill in some of these blanks. What do we do? But Bambi said, I was dancing, I saw you 1 minute and I looked over and I didn't see you the next. I don't know what happened. When she didn't see her, that's when she decided to leave and call her and try to find where she went. But the fact that Bambi sounded so worried, it made Snow White worry more because she thought she just drank too much and blacked out. She was expecting Bambi to be like, oh my god girl, you got drunk and you danced on the bar, you stumbled home, you threw up in the hotel, but we got you there. Like, she was expecting something crazy like that. So the next part of the story is what happened from Bambi's point of view. This is what she told Snow White over the phone. She said she went over to dance with Thing 1 because she saw that Snow White was going to stay at the bar and take the drink that Thing 2 had offered her. So they separated a little bit, but she could still see her. She said she remembers giving each other the happy glance of approval because they both were talking to really cute guys. And then she said after a while though, she didn't see Snow White, she didn't see Thing 2 or Thing 3. So she turned to Thing 1 and said, bro, where are your friends and where's my friend? She said he also looked confused, but he decided to look around and try to help her. So the first thing they did was they went outside where it was more quiet and they both made a phone call. She called Snow White, he called Thing 2 and Thing 3. Nobody was answering their phones. So with that, Bambi decided to go back into the bar and talk to the bartender and ask him, have you seen my friend with these two guys? He said they paid their tab and they left. She didn't think much of it. So Bambi tried calling again. She tried leaving her text messages. Nothing. No reply. So Thing 1 claimed he had no idea where his friends were, and he did stay with Bambi and search for a bit. He kept calling them for a bit, and after getting no reply and getting nowhere, they did eventually separate. And she said she was going to go to Snow White's hotel room and see if maybe she made her way back home. And Thing 1 said he'll call her if anything changes and like good luck. So yeah, her last ditch effort was to go to Snow White's hotel, and she got there. She went to the lady at the counter and said, have you seen the guests at this room go in? She didn't have a key or anything to get in herself, but she decided to ask the lady at the counter, have you seen someone stumbling in, possibly alone, very drunk? She didn't see that, but she said, well, can I go up and knock on her door and check? She said, yeah, you know, feel free, you can go on up. And one thing that was nice is the lady at the counter also said I can call in the room and see if like she'll pick up a loud ringing phone, because if she's inside, you can't ignore that, right? It's annoying. So she said, thank you, please call. I'm also calling. Hopefully somebody will get through to her. So Bambi goes up to Snow White's hotel room and knocks on the door, listens for a reply, doesn't hear anything. She knocks again, and then she said she heard like a slight moan, kind of like she was sleeping, like a and she thought, okay, she's drunk, sleeping it off. She's hoping that's what it was. So Thing 1, he called back and said that he still can't get in touch with his friends. So Bambi told him about the situation, like, I'm at her hotel room. I don't know if she's in there. I think I heard her inside, but I can't tell. So Thing 1 says, oh, you should go down and see if you can find a staff member to use a master key and let you in. Like, this is kind of an emergency. Which I will say, props to Thing 1 if he's not in on this, because he does seem to be quite helpful. So she took his advice. She went to the staff and said, hey, I think I heard my friend inside, but I can't tell. Like, when you guys go in and check on her, I just want to make sure she's okay. And they said they can't do that, and it was against policy. So after a few more desperate calls with no reply, she just went home. She said, there's not really a whole lot I can do. I will stay glued to my phone and just pray that Snow White calls me back. Like, she can't really go to the police and say, hi, I was in a bar with my friend and she might have left very drunk with two guys. Can you help me? She's only been missing for about 2 hours so at this point. So taking all this information in, Snow White is very confused. And when Snow White told Bambi that her underwear was missing, she said, are you sure? Like, she had to bring up, are you sure they didn't put something in your drink? Now obviously she doesn't know, but of course she doesn't want to believe that's what happened to her. And unfortunately Snow White doesn't have Thing 2 or Thing 3's numbers, so she has no way to contact them. Now Bambi does have Thing 1's number, so Bambi decided to call back again and see if there's any update. Like, surely by now you've heard something from your friends. So when Thing 1 answered, Bambi explained to him, yeah, so I found Snow White, she's in her room, her underwear is missing, she has a really bad headache, she does not remember anything last night. Any luck with your friends? So he says, oh, okay, give me a minute, I'm gonna call them and then I'll call you back. And to their surprise, Thing 1 actually did call back with some information. Now this information made them panic more. Thing 1 reported that Things 2 and 3 played dumb at first. They said they were really drunk too and they don't remember what happened at all. They also told him to stop talking to Bambi and Snow White. They told Thing 1 to stop talking to the girls. They said they were drunk and they don't remember what happened, but Thing 1 found that odd because they're really strong drinkers and they weren't drinking that much that night. So then he asked Things 2 and 3, why should I stop talking to them? Like, what do you mean? What happened? So when Thing 1 questioned his friends, like, why do you want me to stop talking to these girls? They said, Snow White might say something stupid like we forced her. And he told him not to listen to the girls. So he's telling Snow White and Bambi what his friend said, and he apologized on their behalf. And he gave her some advice. He said, I advise you go to the hospital to get checked out to make sure something bad didn't happen to you. I think he was implying that she should get a rape kit. Now, up until this point, she's had such a great experience in Korea. She wanted to believe they really were this like innocent and wholesome society with all the good experiences she's having so far, so she really did not want to believe this was happening to her. Denial was like the first stage. And of course, hindsight is always 20/20, so at the time, Snow White decided to not go and get her worst fears confirmed. She did not go to the hospital, she didn't get anything, she didn't pursue this in any way. At this time, her trip was coming to an end and ignorance was pure bliss. For one, she didn't have the time or money to pursue this and press charges if it came to that. And of course, Bambi's like, girl, you cannot let them get away with this if they did something to you. And of course, that's probably how we all feel, right? But if it's not Unless it happened to you, like, what can we really say? Looking back now, of course she wishes she had made sure they were held accountable, she stood up for herself more. And unfortunately, like she said, it's Korea. They do take these sort of crimes very lightly. There's very, very lenient, forgiving punishments, if you can even call it that. And in this case, it would be quasi-rape. For those who don't know, according to Article 299 of the Criminal Act, quasi-rape is applicable to cases where a person engages in sexual intercourse with another person by taking advantage of his or her state of unconsciousness or inability to resist. So in Korea, they see, we've talked about this before on this channel, but quasi-rape is basically when you're not in the right mind to consent, like you're too drunk or something, or you're passed out for whatever reason. Is when you're physically forced down, only when it's physical force and you're physically trying to resist. That's when it's taken a bit more seriously than a quasi, because consent, they're like, oh well, consent is debatable. Like maybe she said yes in 1 minute and mumbled no. It's frustrating, I know. So yeah, she wasn't really sure if anything could even be done at this point because it's late in the day. These things tend to run through your system very quickly. It gets metabolized really fast if there was anything at all. She had no proof. If they use a condom, there's no DNA. It's her foreign word against 2 Korean nationals' words. They could say it was consensual. They could say she asked for it. For her, she said the worst part is not knowing if they took photos, if they recorded something, and like where the fuck her panties are. Like what? And she did blame herself for like a really long time. She hated herself for a really long time. She's like, why would I take more drinks when I was already buzzing? Did I ask them to take me to my hotel? Did I ask for this? I don't remember. Like all these scenarios played out in her head. Why did I take my eyes off my drink? Why did I put up more of a fight? Why didn't I try to get someone else's attention? Why did I leave my friend? But ultimately, she knows that the only person to blame is thing 2 and thing 3. I cannot express how much I appreciate you taking the time to write out this email, because I know that means reliving what happened to you as well. Like taking the time to share this with us, I know that took a lot. And I know there are a lot of people out there who've experienced something similar, and I hope this story helps you see that you're not alone, it's not your fault, and will open other people's eyes around to like not just stand in the background and be a passive bystander. Even if you call the cops, if you ask some questions, take a picture, take a photo, get something that can help them. We have to look out for each other, not blame each other. Thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong!